Here we go. No trademark shall be refused registration unless, and then there's a bunch of yeah buts. They're very open about this as long as it's not confusable with something else. But under some conditions, it doesn't have to be easily confused or even partially confused. Any mark suggesting falsely a connection with institutions or national symbols. If it consists of or comprises the flag or coat of arms or any other insignia of any state or municipality or of any foreign nation or any simulation thereof without authorization by the competent authorities. Cannot be used as a trademark, cannot be used as an insignia, cannot be used as anything under copyright. Now, if you manage to get the U.S. Copyright Office or any other copyright office to let you copyright the flag that was done hundreds of years ago, or to claim that you bought it, you're not required by law, if you don't know this. I have a copyrighted and trademarked and service marked insignias. I don't have to show them to anybody. I'm not required to. There's some things you're required to defend and other things you don't have to because you just make sure you don't have to. And honestly, you don't have to prove any of this to anybody. The only person that you're doing a copyright or whatever to is if somebody infringes on you. If you claim to have copyright control over the flag of Japan somehow, because you didn't change anything, you're just trying to claim it. As long as you don't bring a court case at all, and as long as you don't do it in a way that would make Japan sue you for using their flag without permission, you don't ever have to prove in court that you really got any kind of copyright for it. You can claim all you want to, but they do not have to sue you. No one has to sue you for being a dumbass on YouTube, making a false claim about owning the copyright or patent or whatever to anything. If it doesn't have an effect on anybody, you're actually encouraged by the court to ignore people like that because mostly they do it for attention. But this is the internet era. And basically, if you make a claim that you are the king of the earth and nobody sues you because there's no king of the earth anyway, then you're by default not unchallenged king of the earth. Technically, yeah, and I'm and I'm a god if I want to be, but that doesn't mean that I am. Next, trademarks or as elements of trademarks of armorial bearings, flags, and other state emblems are not allowed to be done this way as you claiming a copyright. The point of getting a copyright or trademark is so that you can sue people. If you never sue anybody, and if you can get the Copyright Office to give you a copyright or patent or trademark or whatever to something, and you never have to defend it, it's not enforceable, but you don't have to worry about a challenge to it. The only reason for getting a copyright is so you can sue somebody from flying your fake Japanese flag that you're using. If you do it from another design, from a number or letter, substantially obscure it by other material on your logo, or use an abnormal flag shape, anything other than a completely square shape, or a significant of the flag like its color or shape or whatever's changed, then you can make your own version of it. The Copyright Office has the option of just saying no to you, or the Trademark Office or whatever. It's the Office of Copyrights and Trademarks and not patents. But you can claim ownership over anything you want to. And as long as they don't reject it outright, you can go ahead and do it. But if you go to court with it, and all you've done is copyright Yugoslavia's flag, you can't enforce it. Because by definition, you've broken one of the rules about it. And they will not refund your money for filling out the paperwork. They don't have to. If they make a mistake, they still make you pay for it because, that's all there is to it. They just don't care. So here we go. Nearly all flags for every country, state, union, and many organizations are so old that they're beyond copyright protection anyway if they were under copyright. Next, it is traditional under most of them to simply declare this is our official emblem, and in that country, due to all of the treaties between countries, declare that you're not permitted to copyright this. No one is. No one is allowed to copyright or control the U.S. flag. You can make any rip on it you want to. You can use the original version. You can make mods of it all you want to, because they're public domain. In the United States especially, it was seen as a very interesting and very simple way of solving problems. Everything was made public domain immediately, which means nobody can claim control over it. unless it falls within these restrictions. And yeah, legally speaking, you can burn a flag because you can make your own and burn it. It's just a piece of paper cloth you're making it from, and that's it. Some people at one time would go burn American flags, but they'd modify a couple of things in it so you weren't literally burning an American flag because there were laws against it. But the fact is the U.S. government only has enforcement rules because the laws have been declared that way. Now let's get on to the assertion of the day. It is possible to trademark any stylized flag design except a completely true and accurate representation of the flag for any state, municipality, for a nation, and then it's unenforceable. That's all. That means you can't sue Japan or you can't sue the United States for using the flag you tried to copyright out from under them. That's all it means. It doesn't mean they have to sue you. There's a misconception that you have to defend your position in court for every fucking thing because we're a country filled with litigious assholes and lawyers that advertise themselves as ambulance chasers. Not everybody's an ambulance chaser. Russell J. Gould declared himself to be a judge of a federal postal court, which hasn't existed for hundreds and hundreds of years now, that was only in place for maybe a year, and that's it. And it was for specifically dealing with violations of postal laws at the time, and still could technically be listed that way. There's still technically an office that's called something like that. It's got a different name now. But back then it was because at the time we only had one postmaster, and, well, basically fraud through the mail was a problem that had to be dealt with. So, but we don't do that anymore. We just hand it over to the FBI, and postal authorities just hand it off to police or FBI or whatever. So someone making up, revamping an old postal court that was officially erased by the person who started it, officially, doesn't exist anymore, claiming he's the only person on earth who can claim jurisdiction in the United States because he says it went bankrupt in 1999 and he registered a flag. This is an impotent, aka limp dick, assertion. There's no way to enforce it. What he's saying here is, I'm declaring that I'm a judge of a court I invented out of my ass, named after one that was actually a different spelling. By the way, it's a different meaning, different wording. From a long time ago that's never been in existence since then. And I'm going to claim jurisdiction, which is a very specific word to use, if this is even being used, by over the entire United States, by saying it went bankrupt and claiming he registered a flag. And he puts at the beginning of the video, I have copyright in the flag or something of that nature. And he puts up a bunch of bullshit legalese that is designed to make you buy his rhetoric and listen to 1 hour long videos I will not sit through, where he tries to jumble up reality enough that you stop questioning him. He just bombards you with bullshit. I've only wasted maybe 8 minutes of your life, so I'll get to the point. Someone claiming that they have the authority to determine whether or not I go to jail has to get consent from the people or from the populace or from representatives. Somebody deciding that they're going to unilaterally declare themselves a judge, a boss of me, and decide they're going to punish me by fucking with me is simply picking a fight with me in the street and gets knocked down on his ass. Russell D. Gould does not have the ability to enforce any of his rules because he doesn't have any authority. Authority doesn't just come from claiming it and then making up a story about some previous court that hasn't existed for a very long time, that was only existing just long enough to completely replace it because it was inefficient at the time, and then claiming to control the United States and claiming it went bankrupt in 1999 and all this other shit is basically posturing and a pissing contest between him and some invisible straw man character he's created over to the side to scream about. And he's a disciple of something win or lose, who also did the same thing. Now, I'm going to repeat this to everybody who isn't listening. The original version of people doing this shit in court was to gum up the works in court cases, hoping that the prosecutor and maybe even the judge would throw the case out of frustration. Once judges and courts realized that's what was going on, no matter how many times the person stood there and with a straight face and lied straight at the judge's face, I'm really doing this because I think this is real. Judges and courts began saying something simple to them. Your argument has no merit. It is nonsensical. And we are forbidding you from entering any more pleas or judgments or statements. You are barred from communicating with the court, and you have to use a lawyer. And if it has to be court appointed, we'll do that. But you will not be permitted to waste the court's time anymore, and I'm fining you $10,000, and we're just going to take it out of your accounts. Wynn and other people like him have been fucked financially and legally penalized enough that they don't do this anymore, but they encourage other people to do it. The idea is to, and they say it every once in a while, they're honest, we should gum up the works in the court systems where they can't do anything so we can get away with doing whatever we want to. They're a bunch of people trying to harass the court into leaving them alone while they break laws, or just doing it for entertainment. At one time, it was done by tax protesters to literally just make it too hard for them to be prosecuted. And it wasn't done for some moralistically good reason in most cases. It was done mostly because someone was a tax cheat. There, that was a 1-minute explanation of the origin story for it. I have to repeat it each time. No, you haven't discovered a new form of language called quantum grammar. No, you haven't discovered some way of getting around the laws by literally just rephrasing them wrong or ignoring what they say and just saying what you want it to believe. All they're doing is the same stupid tactic, wasting the court's time, hoping the court won't just punish them. And now what happens when the court does what they do is they say it has become very obvious, and the person's just gagged at this point. They don't get a microphone, and sometimes they're ball gagged. They literally tie them up. You are not permitted to make any more arguments in this courtroom because you are obviously doing this specifically to waste the court's time in hopes that you can get away with something. You're not permitted to do it anymore. And anybody who does it, who's a bar-certified lawyer, will be disbarred immediately. I mean, you're just a turd now. They don't want to fucking represent you anymore unless they represent you literally, legally, accurately. Not correct truth grammar. Real law. And that's not something sovereign citizens and these tax deniers want to deal with. And again, none of them really deny that there's a law in the books that says you have to drive or that you have to pay your taxes. They just want to waste people's time in court. And they figure if they can rope you into it, you can help them. Now, I don't mind these kind of protesting things. I used to be, at one time, I bought into the sovereign citizen thing. The trouble is, unless you're going to do it the actual way it works, which is bombard them with motions and stuff to delay it as long as possible, and then keep negotiating down the amount you have to pay the IRS, you can actually do that. It'll work a little bit. Unless you're doing something like that, all you're doing is just making the courts have good reason to bar the next person from coming in from even actually doing real courtroom activity. I've been warned about this stuff because I came in and said something in a courtroom as a witness, and I told the judge, I will immediately tell everybody what jury nullification is really quickly. This was actually back. And I'll get away with it, or you can kick me off now. I don't want to be a testifying person. But I'm not trying to waste your time. I'm explaining something. It was a technical thing about computers. I wasn't wasting his time, but he thought it was a sovereign citizen speak. So that's kind of where this comes from. So now we go to the next step. Waptek, please debunk the insane claims made in this video that the U.S. went bankrupt in 1999. There isn't any basis for that because the U.S. as a country still exists, and you could say that about our fake money system anyway. We use funny money. It's supposed to be backed by something, but it's not really backed by anything. But it didn't go bankrupt because there's no evidence of that. You could interpret things that way if you want to. One man's bankrupt is just another man's permanent loan. But the point of this is there isn't any evidence for this. Russell J. Gould took over jurisdiction of the United States. That word doesn't really mean anything. I have jurisdiction in the United States over all affairs concerning me because they concern me. I'm allowed to sue anybody in any state if it affects me and I have standing in court. That's a form of jurisdiction. That doesn't mean I actually control the United States. I'm not king or anything. That is about it. He may be claiming this based on something he's not, I claim jurisdiction over the United States when it comes to this toy car that I own. I mean, we don't know what he's doing, but we do know that he lies all the time. Registering the flag, which one? There are thousands of variations of it that are registered, and they're usually part of some sort of copyright or trademark or service mark. Real American, REEL, American, underneath a flag is a registered trademark somewhere. That doesn't mean it's the flag of the United States, and it doesn't give you power over anybody. And again, I'm going to put this into a real simple context. This kind of asshole likes to harass you, yes, you and me, anybody else, by filing fraudulent and wasteful, stupid bullshit in court, harassing us, trying to get our property, trying to dox us, and fakes being a lawyer. Until they get, he's a fictitious litigant. He's not allowed to file anything. He has no power, not even as much as you and I do. So he gets somebody else to do it for him. He's literally pissed off the court system enough that he's not allowed to do anything he claims he can. That's why he made himself his own judge. Because everybody else has already judged him. Or maybe he isn't lost standing in the court someplace. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. Yeah, he's full of shit. He doesn't copyright the United States flag. He doesn't run the United States. The United States did not go out of business or anything. And there's nothing to debunk here. It's just him yelling stuff he can get away with saying because he would have to be the one filing the suit instead of somebody who would be mad at him. Bye.